Hi guys, welcome to True Crime Wine Wednesday. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. I am Sherrilyn and I am so glad you found me. If you're not new here, welcome back. I do not have an accent. This happens to me sometimes. Welcome back. Thank you for continuing to come back when... Today's video is going to be a style that I've never done before. It's a case that I now have a very deep connection to because it's the first time that I actually went and met and sat down with a victim's family. They are so remarkable, so strong, and my hope is that there's something that I can do and someone out there who may come across this video that can help them. There is a lot to go over today, but before we get started, I have a message for you. Today's very special episode would not be possible if it wasn't for our sponsor today, Sundance Now. One of the things on my bucket list is actually to be invited to like the Sundance Film Festival. And when I watch every single show in their library, it's just like self-explanatory why I want to be a part of something like that. I feel like every show that is like featured at like a Sundance Film Festival or on the Sundance Now app, it's just so like raw and new and different. It's just so nice to have like a different style to binge, you know what I mean? Just not like the same repetitive mainstream movie lines and like shows that like are just so overdone all the time. I feel like I'm always aimlessly just like scrolling through other streaming apps trying to find a show, seeing the same ones over and over and over again. But with Sundance Now, there's hundreds of exclusive shows for their app that I've never heard or seen of before. So it's just like a whole new world opened up for me. And it's all in that style that I like. Right now, I just finished watching Too Close. It's a 3-part drama they've got on there. I'll give you a light synopsis so I don't ruin anything. But basically, it's about dedicated forensic psychiatrist Dr. Emma Robinson, who's not easily shocked. She's worked with her fair share of high security patients. Then she's sent to assess Connie, who's facing trial for a terrible crime. And it's almost like when she meets her, she starts spiraling. She's like, can I figure out what happened on the night of the crime? What happened to turn Connie into this monster? How does Connie's beautiful friend Ness that she keeps talking to fit into it? Why does Connie's husband refuse to see her? And as she's trying to make sense of it all, Connie starts to show this searing insight into Emma's deepest insecurities and starts to exploit them. So their sessions become this like complex psychological game with those confusing and emotional undercurrents. It's one where you think you've got it figured out and then 2 seconds later you're like, okay, it wasn't even close. You just realize how good of a decision you made to not be a forensic psychiatrist. I just love those types of shows though. You know, like those mini series, they just pull me in, which is great because there's a lot more of that on the app, as well as a lot of true crime, documentaries, movies. They have their own Sundance originals that come out with new episodes every week. So the library is constantly being refreshed and renewed for you, and all for the sweet, beautiful price of only $5.99 a month. So if you are also in a streaming slump, you definitely have to check them out. You can stream across all your devices like Apple, Android, Chromecast, Fire Stick, Roku. And right now you can check out Sundance Now for free if you go to sundancenow.com and use my promo code Sherrilyn. To make it easy, you can just click the link in my description below, or once again, go to sundancenow.com and enter my promo code Sherrilyn. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the mini-series and let me know if you have any that you want to suggest that I add to my watch list. Thank you in advance, and thank you Sundance so much for sponsoring today's video and for hooking up my true crime fam. And one more quick thing before we get started today, it's riddle time. Today's riddle is, what can run but never walks? Has a mouth but never talks? Has a head but never weeps? Has a bed but never sleeps? Ooh. All right, you guys, let's get started. Like I said, today's video is unlike any I've done before. I'm honored to be able to use my channel and reach out to my community to try and gain attention for a bigger audience. My hope is that somehow we can find answers for this truly remarkable family. I'm going to present the case like I usually do in this like sit down style, like hanging out with you, but I'm also going to incorporate some interview footage as well as some vlog stuff that I took, just like retracing last steps and known whereabouts. I hope it helps connect you and bring you guys along with me so that you also can feel like where this emotion is coming from. Thank you guys all in advance for your trust in me and my channel and allowing me to do these types of things. It's just indescribable to me how thankful I am for you that this is what I get to do and that you support me and allow me to do this. All right, whew. Let's get started. I'm nervous. I feel like I don't want to let anybody down. All right, here we go. It's been almost 4 years since Nadia Atwi's family has spoken to or seen her. She went missing on December 8th, 2017, and sitting with her mother Salwa, or Nada as her friends and family call her, you can feel the pain she feels every day not knowing where her beautiful Nadia is or what happened to her. I had the honor of meeting this angel of a woman and spending 2 days with her, and from the second she opened her door, I felt like we knew each other forever. There's no question Nadia is as wonderful as everyone describes her because her mother exudes kindness, warmth, class, and grace. The Atwis live in Edmonton, Alberta, which is also my home and why I was fortunate to meet her. Nadia's story stuck with me these past 4 years because her smile just captured me and I was able to relate to her being a mom. We only were a year apart in age, and having it happen in Edmonton in my home just made it so personal. If you're from Canada, you may recognize Nadia's photo and remember this case. In the early days, it gained a lot of attention because her cousin was Adele, who was a Canadian treasure on Big Brother Canada season 2. And being from Edmonton and seeing how this kind of all unfolded, in those early days, I do feel like there was a lot of push and pleas for the public to take it seriously, get out there, help the family find Nadia. And then the media was kind of being fed information from investigators that almost diminished that urgency. Even media outlets themselves said that they were very confused because initially they were being told, this is very out of character. The family is desperate to find her. And then it was like there were personal factors going on in Nadia's life that led them to believe that there was like nothing suspicious that was going on. And although they didn't come out and say, we're not really sure what's going on, we don't really believe she's missing, certainly out of like anything involving foul play, just the delivery, I guess, in my personal opinion, hindered very early days of this investigation. To add further complications on top of this, there was a lot of negative attention attracted surrounding the case that just completely turned everybody's attention away from Nadia and more like, hey, what's with the drama and what's going on here? Because a huge fight broke out between family and her husband at a vigil that was held for her 10 days after she went missing. After this, it almost seemed like everything went to a halt and the urgency to find Nadia diminished, and it's now been her family's responsibility to try to find out what happened to her. Nadia Atwi was born on October 1st, 1985 in Edmonton, Alberta at the General Hospital. She is the oldest of 4 children to Salwa and Akram Atwi, who moved to Canada from Lebanon on December 28th, 1983. The Atwis were raised to respect hard work and family values, and it's so clear when you talk to Nadia's mom. Nadia is described as so generous. Everywhere in their home is little gifts and items that Nadia made or bought for her family. She was like this with everybody she knew. She wanted everybody to feel special and loved, and her smile is one that lights up a room. Even seeing it just through photos, you feel her inner and outer beauty and happiness. One thing I heard a lot was that she was always making people laugh, and one of the things that stands out most is how funny she was. Growing up, her family had spent some time in Edmonton as well as Calgary, so she went to several schools in the Calgary and Edmonton area. When she first started school, her mom said she was very quiet and shy. She was a good student, teachers liked her, but she wasn't overly outgoing. And then in junior high and high school is when her mom says her fun years happened. They were happy times full of laughter and friends, and when Nadia really came out of her shell. On top of also making people laugh, she was a big daddy's girl. She loved to spend time with her family. She also loved to do makeup and sing. Adele and Whitney Houston were her favorites.
She loved music. She has a beautiful voice. When Adele became famous, she always, "Mom, how fascinating this lady is." She would sing for Adele. She's beautiful.
And I think one thing that I felt so strongly learning about her was how much family meant to her. They were so close. Even when they moved out of their house, Nadia and her siblings all lived close to her parents and then like in the neighborhood close to each other as well. They have a lot of happy memories of going on vacations together. One place they would go to as a family was to Lebanon to go and visit their family out there. And it was during one of these visits when she was younger that she met the son of a family friend. His name was Ali Finich. You guys know me with my accents. And I guess this friendship just started off as like, oh, great, like I met a friend while I'm out here. In terms of work, Nadia grew up helping her dad at their family restaurant. She did have some part-time jobs here and there, Sephora being one because of her love of makeup. But ultimately for her career and her passion, she wanted to go to school to be a teacher. Nadia's mom was a teacher, so she loved to help her whenever she could in class. She'd go to her mom's school and help her with lesson plans or help her read over and mark papers. Nadia's grandfather was a teacher before becoming a firefighter in Lebanon, so it was almost like it must have been in her blood. And in 2008, she graduated from the University of Alberta with a bachelor's in education. It was the following year, in 2009, she reconnected with that childhood friend in Lebanon, Ali. They started talking to each other on social media, on the phone. They did like the whole long distance relationship thing. She went to see him twice in Lebanon, and then in 2012, during one of her visits, Ali proposed to her. Nadia sponsored him, and he moved to Edmonton in December 2013. And then quickly in March 2014, they got married. And not long after they were married, they found out that they were going to be parents.
How excited they were expecting their firstborn. They went to a store in the south side. It was closing, Oshkosh. They bought so many outfits for all season, and I remember in my living room, Ali spread them all. They took pictures.
Watching her mom talk about these happier times really brought a smile to my face. It warmed my heart, and then it also made me so emotional because it just reminded me that these milestones are so precious and they live every day wondering if they're ever going to be able to make memories like this again. Nadia and Ali welcomed their son Hamoudi into the world on June 17th, 2015, and Nadia adored her son. Her mom said that both she and Ali were doting and caring parents. Almost 6 months after her son's second birthday, Nadia embarked on the next exciting chapter in her life. She started her first year as a kindergarten teacher, and she was able to work alongside her mom, who had retired and offered to come into the class with her every day and work with her with the children. So they got to be together every day doing what they love, and now it was Nadia's mom's turn to sit and help her in the class like she once did when she was little. This really should have been one of the happiest times of their lives, but only in a few short months, on December 8th, 2017, everybody's life changed. It started on the evening of December 7th at 5:30 p.m. Nadia's mom sent her a text message that said, "Who's picking who up?" They carpooled together for work every day, so what this meant was they would shift and take turns. And the following day was going to be Nadia's mom's turn to pick her up. So Nadia said, "You please." Her mom said okay, and that was the last thing she ever heard from her daughter. In the morning, Nadia's mom drove to her house, and when she got to the front door, she was, I don't really want to say greeted. The door was open to what seemed like a irritable Ali. She asked where Nadia was and if she was ready, and he just closed the door on her face. She figured, okay, like maybe there's some tension going on in the house. She went to the car to wait for Nadia, just figuring that she was going to be out any minute. But a couple minutes goes by, she's not there, so she knows that they're running on limited time before traffic in the morning starts getting heavy and they need to drive across the city to get to school. So she gets out of the car, goes back to the door. She opens it up and she's like, where's Nadia? This time Ali is getting upset and told her to get the F out of the house and that Nadia had left. She was so upset and like taken back by being spoken to that way. So she gets in the car thinking maybe she misunderstood the text somehow, that Nadia was actually on her way to go and pick her up at her house. But at this point, too much time had passed. She figured they were both going to be late for school if she went back to meet her at the house. So instead she called her husband and said, if Nadia gets there right away, just let her know that I'm going to go on to school. She can just meet me there because we're going to be late. When she gets to school, Nadia's not there. She starts the day though. She's texting Nadia, calling her. She thinks maybe her and her husband had a fight and she was really upset. So she's trying to like encourage her and just like let her know that everything is okay. She even sends a voice note that her students had made for her saying, where are you, Nadia? We miss you. Still no reply. But her brain just keeps going to, there must have been a fight and she's decompressing. Everyone knew that when Nadia was upset, her method of stress relief was to go for drives. And she thought that although it was out of character for her not to communicate with anyone or at least answer and tell her like, I'm okay, carry on the lesson without me today, she had never, not shown up to school before. She just thought, okay, like there's something personal going on that she's working through. I'll hear from her soon. It's around 2 p.m. and the principal of the school comes to her class and tells her that he received a phone call from Ali saying that he had called the police to report Nadia missing because he needed the car to go to work and she hadn't arrived back yet. And the last time he had seen her was at 6:30 that morning. According to Ali, he said that he spoke to the police and they informed him that he wasn't able to file a missing persons report for another 24 hours. So right now everybody was just waiting and, calling amongst each other, seeing if anybody knew where Nadia was. From the get-go, Nadia's parents in particular were not included in a lot of the communication that was going on between her husband and the police. So it was just kind of like a waiting game, and they were trying to play telephone between family members that Ali would speak to because he wouldn't speak to her parents. You can imagine how chaotic and confusing that would be. And then later on that evening, her mother does get a phone call from the police to learn a little bit more, but still not a lot. They basically called because they wanted to know when the last time she saw or spoke to Nadia, and that's when she said that they had texted at 5:30 the night before just to confirm the pickup plan, and that when she went there at about 7:24, Nadia wasn't there. While they're on the phone, she's like, can you please tell me what's going on? Like, I am in the dark here. And it's at that moment they say that they have found Nadia's car at Rundle Park, but Nadia is not there. Just hearing the words Rundle Park really worried her mom. This is a well-known park in Edmonton and it overlooks the North Saskatchewan River. So she's asking a bunch of questions and just not getting any answers. The only thing they want to know is for her to log in a time of when she was at the house and when she left and who she saw. And then that was all the investigators would give her. So she goes back to trying to communicate with other family members to get information from Ali, and it gets to the point where she was like, I'm just gonna go to Rundle Park. By this point though, it's late in the evening, it's already dark out, no one even told her where the car was found, so she didn't even know where to start. And from my understanding, there wasn't even like a police search going on in the area, so she didn't even know where to like look for police looking. And she left feeling really lost, scared for Nadia. And unsupported in terms of like where this investigation was going. So it was the next day that family decided to go back to Rundle Park. They were learning a little bit more about the area of where Nadia's car was, which was in one of the parking lots, except for it was down an embankment from the parking lot. Whoever was driving this car would have had to use significant force to jump the barrier and then cross the pathway and then go down this hill. When they were there, the vehicle wasn't there. There was tape around the scene at the time, but her family learned that one of her shoes was found at the scene, as well as her cell phone, and her hijab that she often wore was inside the vehicle as well. Allegedly, the entire area was searched by investigators. That's what the family was told, is what they reported on the media. All I've seen from the media is that they said that there was a helicopter search that was done. But after personally being there, I'm not really sure what capacity the helicopter would have to look through and see like all of the small detail in this brush area. It was very dense. There was a lot of space to cover. And I mean, I'm no expert, but in my opinion, I feel like a search on foot with several trained professionals searching the area would have been more effective. It almost seemed to me that like the point of the aerial search was that early on, the speculation was that she possibly took her own life. But going through everything and being at that scene, it just doesn't make sense to me. Her vehicle was found so far away from the river. We walked just a fraction of the trail, and I am telling you, with one or possibly no shoes in December, I would not be traipsing through these bushes, getting like whacked, trying to like make my way down this brush and uneven terrain just so that I can get to the river and then just like be on ground level and just like walk into it. There's the bridge like right up the pass, so she would have just drove a couple minutes more and then just parked at the bridge. Usually if that's like your method of suicide, that'd be more convenient, not taking this hike outback style down to the river. Even let's say she did take this journey down there. When she got down there, she would have experienced another roadblock aside from the big Hike Fest 3000, because on the side that her vehicle was found, that part of the river was completely frozen solid. Even family members had like big sticks that they were trying to like break the ice through, and they couldn't. And it wasn't unless you were on the other side of the river that there was water that was like unfrozen there. So did she just like decide to like shuffle on with her one shoe or no shoes to try to find where there was going to be like a break in the ice and she could just like jump in? I mean, I'm no expert, but it doesn't make sense to me. Now, her husband has had a lot of fingers pointed at him by the public, but it seems like it's like the complete opposite for the police. I do want to make sure that everybody watching knows that Nadia's mom has not lost sight of the fact that there is no proof or evidence at this time that she is aware of that points to him being involved. Her views is that at this point, we don't even know if there was a crime because Nadia's never been found. Her main and only focus at this time is to find Nadia, and once that happens, then she will know what her next steps are. Part of the reason why he's looked at so intensely by the public, though, is his actions and delivery. I don't personally know him or what he is going through, so I can't judge. But the perception is that his actions and some of the things that he said don't really align with what people would think a husband would say and do if they were desperate to find their wife and, like the mother of their child and someone they claim to love. For instance, the night of Nadia's vigil, 10 days after she was reported missing, family and friends gathered to come together in support of Nadia. At one point, her cousin was trying to read something he wrote about Nadia, and he was just so heartbroken. He was struggling getting through it. So Nadia's sister-in-law started reading what he had prepared for her. And for some reason, this triggered Nadia's husband. He said something along the lines of she shouldn't be talking if she wasn't like a direct family member, and he like threw his candle down at the ground towards her. Not sure what he thought the outcome of this was going to be, but it went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, but to be honest honest with you, you're one of the persons who lead her to be that person.
That true kindness is her disappearance.
Oh my God. Let her go.
I'm sorry.
Nadia is a loving mother, a thoughtful daughter, a great sister, and a selfless wife. And to know Nadia means that you know what true kindness is.
Whatever you can do, bring Nadia home. Whoever you can talk to in Calgary, Winnipeg, Ontario, if you have friends or family.
A lot of emotions going on, a lot of yelling, accusations thrown about. It understandably is a really hard thing for her mom to talk about because the only thing that she kept repeating and like wanting to express was that like, stop, we're all here for Nadia. A reporter was there that night and he had a chance to talk to Ali once things calmed down, and he was like, yo, like what happened there? And Ali was basically like, given that everybody's emotions are really high, like something like that is understandable. And then at this point, he decides to share with the public for the first time that Nadia suffered from bipolar disorder, and maybe that has something to do with where she is. Sharing this for me felt like a shift happened in the search, not only in the public, but with the police as well. I'm not sure if the police were aware of any mental illness that she had prior to this evening. My opinion, just watching a press conference that went down a couple days before the vigil, I would say yes, just based on kind of like the demeanor and like the message that was being delivered to the public. They said at this time there was no reason to believe that anything suspicious was going on. He shared what measures were done to search the area, like I mentioned, like just the helicopter. And then he threw out there that Nadia needed medication and that she would probably be confused and not want to be approached. So if anybody came across her, to just call the police immediately. And her parents were devastated by this because it gave the impression that Nadia was unapproachable, and this just wasn't Nadia at all.
My dad is the next DJ Johnny. Happy birthday! It's only once in a lifetime to get a DJ like this. So call 780 and book your party with DJ Marco the Sharko ASAP.
The police also mentioned at this press conference that she would go missing for extended periods of time before, but never this long in the past. Again, I don't know why some of this stuff is shared, especially in a situation like this. Even if somebody had, gone somewhere without telling somebody for a 24-hour period, even once in their life, why bring it up? It paints a picture that they ran away. So when you're pleading with the public to help look for somebody, but you're saying like, oh, they do this, why would anybody want to look for somebody who they believe ran away and they don't want to be found? Then when you couple it with she needs medication and she's unapproachable, it gives this illusion that she's, this like unmedicated person on this journey, and don't approach her. You guys know how I feel about this when mental illness is brought up in these types of investigations and it's almost used as like a desensitizer. It's like there's such misconception out there with it, and that needs to change. Everybody who knew Nadia said that her stress relief was driving. She loved to go for drives, decompress. There were times that she even drove to Calgary, which is 3 hours away from Edmonton, just to turn around and then come back home, just to have that time to clear her mind. But every time she left, she was talking to somebody. She was always on the phone, whether she was like venting to a best friend or her dad. She was very close with her family. She was always in constant contact with somebody. And during these drives, she always turned around and came back home. It was never like, I'm leaving, I'm never coming back. It was just, I'm going for a drive. Like some people drink 1 or 10 glasses of wine. Other people go for drives. So when those types of like releases are almost used against somebody, it just, you guys know, it just like, it gets me. I just feel like the mention of any mental illness or medication, it puts a wall up, because when it's delivered like that, it's almost like in a fearful way. And it also implies that this person isn't in immediate danger or something's happened to them because of somebody else. It's just automatically like blinders, like, oh, we don't need to look. She probably doesn't want to be found. And as much as people and investigators want to say that there's not really necessarily like a stigma surrounding mental illness and bringing it up in these cases. There is. I know there are a lot of my true crime family members who have bipolar that are watching. And if you've been here for a long time, you know that I like to talk about mental health whenever I can because it needs to be normalized and accepted, especially in these situations. So I don't know what her husband's motive was for bringing attention to it. I don't know if it's like, okay, like all of a sudden, like the eyes are on him and he needs to deflect. We really don't know. The way Nadia's mom spoke about Nadia's bipolar disorder, it gave me the impression that Nadia was very much like me and a lot of you watching, like highly functioning. She was a teacher, she was a mother, she was a daughter, she was a sister, she was a great friend. She was very connected and close with her family and friends. Like I said, I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish, like throwing that out there. I just tried to put like my husband in that situation. And if my husband was desperate to find me, bring me home, gain as much public attention as possible, he would do everything he could to encourage people to look, not be like, oh, like she has anxiety and depression, so like could have something to do with this. He'd be screaming from the rooftops like, this is so out of character. She would never leave our kids or me. Help me. Aside from him speaking at the press conference that the police made note of like her unapproachableness, he closed himself off a lot, especially to family. Nadia's family also hasn't seen her son since 2019, so he's also been kept away from them and they miss him so much. They still keep his baby toys in their home, which her mom adorably went to go search and show me. Like, she's just such a proud grandmother and just misses him so much. I reached out to Ali personally to see if there was anything that he wanted to share about Nadia and their life together. I did mention, you know, that I knew that there was a lot of speculation out there in the public and that he probably feels like a lot of that isn't fair if there's no like proof to merit all the finger pointing, and that this would be a really good opportunity for him to, you know, like share his life with Nadia. I wanted to know things like how they felt when they found they were having a baby, how he proposed, what he misses most about her, but he didn't get back to me. So right now, the last statement that he has made in the public is that he is no longer involved in the search for Nadia and that if she is ever found, he will be getting a divorce from her.
Anything, please come forward. And to Nadia, please, Nadia, I hope you hear me. I love you, Mama. We all miss you, your family, your friends.
Not knowing where your daughter is for a full year. Today, on the anniversary of her disappearance, friends and family of school teacher and mother Nadia Atwi came together.
Okay.
Nadia's mother, Salwa Atwi, shares laughs and tears as she looks at pictures of her 32-year-old daughter.
We tried. We cannot find one single picture for Nadia without her smiling.
This area of Rundle Park behind me is where Nadia's vehicle was found. It's also where I first met her husband, Ali Finesh. Now, I got in touch with him this year, and he says he's no longer in the country or involved in the search for Nadia, and that if she is found, he'll divorce her.
I mean, like I said, everybody reacts different, says things different, but actions are much more powerful than words. And I feel like if someone was genuinely worried about their wife, they would be doing everything they could to find her. They wouldn't be, you know, closing themselves off from family. They wouldn't keep her son from his grandparents. And someone who really cared, you'd assume wouldn't stop looking and then say that they want to get a divorce. One speculation is that he might know that she's not coming back. After Nadia's disappearance, he was using her Instagram to like post things for a period of time, and there was a choice of words that he used in Instagram story that might have been like a Freudian slip. He posted a photo of her degree, and the caption on the photo was "in remembrance of Nadia Atwi." Generally, you don't use that when you're saying like, I miss you, I'm proud of like your accomplishments, I want you to come home so you can fulfill even more dreams of yours. Usually, like when you choose those words, it's like, I know you're not coming back. I asked Nadia's mother what her thoughts were of Ali, and this woman's class is unparalleled. Given what's happened behind the scenes since Nadia's disappearance, I have no idea how she does it. Her view is that she can't personally point fingers. Just because he hasn't been the kindest to her or made the best decisions, it doesn't mean that he's guilty of committing a crime. I just so desperately want to try to help make some sense of this for her family. As I was looking through a lot of the shared posts on Nadia's Facebook, I came across one and it just touched my heart and gave me hope for her story. I learned that she loved the color blue. It was her favorite, and she shared several posts about her favorite butterfly in the whole world. It's called the blue morpho. She shared the legend of the blue morpho on her Facebook. And you can't help but feel the powerfulness of the meaning and relation to Nadia. The legend basically is that there was a woman who suffered a tragic loss of a loved one when like a battle broke out in her tribe, and she wanted just the fighting to stop so that nobody else would experience like the pain of the loss that she had. So to achieve this, she decided that she was going to sacrifice herself to this volcano that was nearby. But on the way to the volcano, she drowned. Just as she drowns, this volcano erupts and covers the land, and everything turns blue. The reptiles, the bugs. And to this day, the blue morpho butterfly is said to be like the most sacred and have miracle healing powers. But what's truly miraculous about this butterfly is that this isn't just like an urban legend. So in 1987, a young boy from Montreal, Quebec, learned about the blue butterfly and its miraculous healing powers and went to Costa Rica to find this butterfly because he had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. The doctors had said there was absolutely nothing left that they could do, and he sought out this entomologist to go with him in search of this blue butterfly, and he did. The story goes that David was so sick and so weak during this trip, like this entomologist had to carry him on his back because he was too weak to walk. And at the end of the trip, when they don't think that they're going to find this butterfly because they learn when they got there that because of the season, they had all like migrated somewhere else, like they weren't around, they find a butterfly and he touches it. And they go back home, and at his next doctor's appointment, his tumor was shrinking. And to this day, he is still alive. And since Nadia's disappearance, her family is hoping for a miracle, and they've used that term so many times when I spoke with her mom. I actually didn't see that post from Nadia until after we met, and it gave me goosebumps because it was almost like, I don't know, she was talking. Over the past 4 years, there hasn't been much for them to go off of to find her and help bring her home, and it kind of keeps them in this limbo of pain. But even with that, they still hold on to a miracle. Her mom shared with me that Nadia told her she always wanted to write a book. So her hope today is that one day Nadia will be found and they'll be able to write the story of her survival together. You better believe I told her that every single one of us was going to be the first in line when it comes out to buy it. If Nadia is out there or somebody knows anything, my wish for this video is that it will reach the person or people that it needs to finally bring Nadia home. Please share. Please keep her family and her in your prayers and your thoughts, especially over the next few weeks. This is the hardest time for the family as they approach the anniversary of her disappearance. If we have anybody out there who watches that has any tight connections with a private investigator, preferably in Canada, because I don't know if there's any like laws if you are not like in Canada as far as like searching and like privacy acts and stuff, please reach out to me. Thank you so much in advance for your help on this, you guys. You are truly all the greatest, and I believe that if anybody can help this family, it's us. For now, that is it for me today. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You know it means the world to me. I love and I appreciate you so much. Today's riddle answer, quick refresher if you forget what it was. What can run but never walks? Has a mouth but never talks? Has a head but never weeps? Has a bed but never sleeps? And the answer is a river. All right, I will see you in the next video. I will miss you terribly. Until then, make sure to love each other, love yourself, and I will see you soon.